Hey everybody, this is going to be a quick video just to cover some of the big blockchains, Bitcoin, Ethereum, and Pulsechain, and have a look at where the price charts are at. So I hope you enjoy this quick one. Let's check out the Bitcoin chart first and have a look at that. So here it is, Bitcoin. It's the monthly chart. And we can see at the moment that we've got Bitcoin at 68,139. We've recently been ranging between 74,000 and a bottom of about 63,500. So it's kind of our range that we've been in, around about just under 10K range. We're currently not slightly, probably in the middle of that range, 68K at the moment. But probably the important thing over the last 50-day moving average, which you can see in yellow, we can see that we're still above that 50-day moving average. Even last month, when we pierced through it and went to 60,000, we actually pushed back up over that moving average, which is 65,500. So pretty good movement there. Hey, good to see Steve Wright in the house. Hello, Superman. Hey, good to see you, Steve. And so yeah, that is where we are on the long view. And so we're really, I think, getting some good support around that 65K. Always the temptation was if we did do another leg down, then we might get into the 50s briefly. We previously were back there in September in 24, so some time ago now. But yeah, let's see where we go from here. Obviously, the all-time high, 126,300, back here in October 25. So yeah, just getting really, we've had quite a few months, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 months down on that severe retrace. So that there is a pretty decent down market. Let's say it's around about, I guess we went around about 53% down. Currently around about 47%, 46% down at the moment on the monthly. So good to see that. We're back, at these previous resistant periods back in 2021, the last bull market. So we've got that previous bull market area. We've got the 50 moving average, month moving average, giving us some support at the moment. So everyone looking for a bounce from here. Obviously, we've had some pretty good news around Kraken and the Federal Reserve, around New York Bank Mellon doing custody for its ETF. So there's been some bullish news, but unfortunately, the oil story through the Strait of Hormuz is dominating at the moment. So we're looking for a solution for that around insurance and the CENTCOM guarantee of safety. So hopefully we'll get a lot of those oil tankers and other freight moving through the Strait of Hormuz. So that's kind of we're expecting that may take up to a week, maybe even 2. So we'll keep a look at that. Things are pretty dynamic, and we have got the weekend on at the moment. So that is where we are looking at the long term over there on Bitcoin. Obviously, we got big price targets on the back of Bitcoin, $250,000 up to 1.5 million, depending on you're asking, and of course the different time frames that we're looking at there. But let's have a look at the daily chart for the old Bitcoin. We can see obviously we had this death cross way back on November last year. That's continued to play out, but we have got pretty solid ground here after having quite a few waves down. Was it 4 waves down, 2 major waves down, to where we are right now on the old Bitcoin. So yeah, let's see where we go. Will there be a few more dips possibly over the next week? That's kind of where we are ascending on the old Bitcoin. We do see MicroStrategy with a sailor there with the old STRC. They are raising a lot of ATM cash with the MNAV premium, which I still think is around about 1.18 or something like that. So they're still managing to pick up a heck of a lot of Bitcoin right now, at least prior to this dump. So on that last little pump we had in the last couple of days, they're definitely able to pick up a lot more, accumulating into MicroStrategy or Strategy's digital asset treasury. So that's been kind of positive, even though their liquidation point is around $8,000 Bitcoin. So obviously we're well ahead of that, and they really are taking on the bond market with those high yields, 12, 13% yields in some of those products. So it's a fun time ahead. All right, so that is Bitcoin. Bitcoin's still looking pretty solid. Let's have a look at Ethereum. Ethereum there currently quite a different picture, different story here. Ethereum. The big thing, of course, is that we know that ETH has been leaving exchanges quite a bit, quite a lot, and also the ETH staking. I think there's about 3.6 million or something going through the ETH staking queue with very little coming out of the ETH staking queue. So we've got a lot of supply of ETH moving from exchanges, moving out of supply through staking, and we're well over, I think, 30.5% of ETH staked. There's about 121 million ETH, so that's very, very good. The other thing I just said before, move on from Bitcoin too, is that I think within the next week or something, we're coming up to the 20 millionth Bitcoin mined, which means that there's only 1 million Bitcoin left to mine over the next 100, well, by 2141. What's that? That's about 85 years or something. So it's pretty exciting with that milestone with the old Bitcoin. So Bitcoin, is going to really start to rally at some stage. It's going to be quite a powerful move. And of course, some people talking about moving to gold market cap at least, so which would be over half of the stock market value, right, excluding the Mag 7. So pretty big numbers happening there. We've got Ethereum though at the moment, 976 setting up. I think there's a good case for Ethereum eventually flipping Bitcoin, obviously on the back of stablecoins, tokenization, and DeFi innovation. I think that's a huge, huge thing. And of course, with the stablecoin boom, Genius Act, you're talking about July for regulations, enactment by January 27. The Clarity Act, of course, is supposed to be approved last August. That's being held up again and again. And so we're still having issues in the Senate, although we are getting a better White House support to move forward against the bank yield debate. And of course, banks, wanting to protect their yield and their big fat profits, whereas, obviously DeFi, CeFi wanting to offer high yields to retail. Let's see how that battle goes, but hopefully we'll get that moving forward, out of the Senate and get that passed eventually, well before, hopefully before mid-year, if not by April, would be pretty nice. And of course, that would be crypto unleashed. So we got that the legislative side of things. We've got looking, a little bit mixed at this stage. Although, seeing on poly markets, I think it was 75-80%. But we'll see how that goes with the Senate discussions, etc. We're having some good White House discussions, so they're kind of moving things forward. So hopefully we'll get there in the end. But on the fundamentals for Ethereum, looking really great. Tokenization on the rise, stablecoins on the rise, and of course that boom from legislation going to be a double whammy there with the old Genius and then Clarity Act. So that's what we're looking forward to. Second half of the year should be a real boom time, as well as the economy really picking up. We did have a surprise employment number, -1 for last month, but suspecting that that's all going to pick up quite rapidly moving out into the second half of the year, especially second quarter. That's kind of where we are at the moment. We've got the 50-month moving average on Ethereum sitting at $2,490. We're sitting below that, of course, at 1976, so we're below the 2050 sort of support level, and so we're in that next range. And last month we had a low of 1742. That was Tom DeMark, which is the timing guru, working for Bitmine Immersion, and Tom Lee. They are one of Tom DeMark's one of two clients, and of course he talked about a double tap there and down at 1790, I think it was. So we've hit that mark. Let's see what happens with moving forward. Obviously, getting a lot of volatility over the oil dispute there and how markets are responding. Funnily enough, Hyperliquid was the frontier market that people used from traditional finance to make positions on the oil price, getting up to $96, and they're not too far from it now. Crypto was used over traditional markets because it was open 24/7, right? And people could take positions. A little bit more riskier for their custodial aspects of things, but certainly it's interesting the TradeFi market moving in to make those decisions on crypto and crypto. So you can sort of see the takeover and why banks are so fearful, because they see how powerful CeFi and particularly DeFi is in terms of consumer. So that is 1976 at the moment, and we're sitting below the 50 moving average, unlike Bitcoin. But actually, I think the fundamentals are huge. Potentiality to flip Bitcoin's definitely out there with all these mega themes. And so, yeah, I'm excited about that, where that will be. Now, obviously, Tom Lee typically picks up some sort of ratio to Bitcoin, but maybe in due course that might be changed, right? We get into some sort of huge price run for Ethereum. So yeah, this time will probably be remembered as super cheap for the old ETH. So a great time to be picking up right now. And once we once we break out of that 5,000 mark, so we can see up the top previous high in November, we had was around 4,900. Recent high that we had in August 25 was 4,900. So breaking 5K. It's going to be insane for Ethereum, and we could see some absolute rally way up high there from that. So looking forward to it. Obviously, we've had 1, 2, 3, 4, 6 months of red candles and a big retrace too. Let's just measure that quickly from that last high. So we got down about 64% compared to Bitcoin's 53. We're currently down about 60% still, so still pretty major. The question was, will we do another, go down to 1,500 to 1,600, which we've already been, had seen in this area back in 23, and also briefly in April 25, and that was the question mark. So that's definitely still on the table. Because of if we get a long Iranian war, and of course it depends how you define that, right? It's really around the Strait of Hormuz and oil. I think no one would really care too much if the Air Force, Navy, and everything else has been destroyed, leaving only the army to pull apart over time. And that's where you won't get a land invasion, right? You get a civil takeover revolution type thing set up by CIA and Americans, etc. So that's kind of where we are there. So, I still think we're more probable to stay in this range, but definitely that is a possibility. We could briefly go there, and Tom DeMark would be, out of the money on that one because of the an extended war / oil constraint. But apart from that, everything's going pretty well, and apparently they're going to have the biggest bombing of Iran over the night, and they've got just bringing more assets in there now. 30 aircraft carrier arrived as well. So they're pretty much just going to destroy everything of value, and we already see that rockets from Iran are already down 80%, and so is or 90, close to 9%, and drones are down about 80%. So I think they're just continuing just to take all those things out before they even get launched. So that's going to bode well. So we may see Signum give us, give some sense of security for ships going through the Strait of Hormuz, and the insurance policy that they're going to put in as well. All right, so that's kind of some of the bigger drops there, and it's looking pretty good right now in the old Ethereum pickup. Of course, Bitmain Measure number one digital asset treasury, or DAT, is actually still accumulating. We're going to be interesting to see what the amount that they've got. They've been buying about 50 I think it's about 50 million the last 2 weeks each, and whether we see that sort of similar number happening. We did have a pretty good MNAV the other day, about 106, so that's really good for ATM market buying. So that will probably get a good number again, I think. Obviously, we'd like to see double that, up to $100 million a week, but that's still pretty good, up from about 35, 40, I think it was, in the weeks prior. So keep a lookout for that. They are still keeping that strategy, heading towards 5% alchemy, and they are going to be adding on a number of DeFi utilities on the back of that treasury. So it's not just going to be a treasury. It's not just going to be a treasury that's staked and earning 3% yield. They've got their Maven launch expected. Maybe we might get it in March. They're going to have third-party services as well, but actually they're going to be playing quite a big financial role, bridging traditional finance to the Ethereum blockchain. So it's going to be a pretty big value add, I think, and we're looking forward to that. They're going to have an app that's going to be launched as well. It'll be interesting to see what the services they provide. Obviously, they recently did a massive share issuance for potentiality from 500 million to 50 billion shares. I think that's going to be used for mass adoption rather than just raising capital to buy more ETH and put it into the DAO, which is they're doing through the ATM already versus the MNAV. So I think that's all all going to be used for mass adoption. That's why the Mr. Beast, I think, is such a big deal there. And so we're looking forward to that to roll out during this year. So keep a lookout for that, because no one's really done it in crypto, mass adoption, right? Everyone keeps talking about it. And we talk about wallets a lot, but you guys all know that, you guys have probably got 1,000 wallets yourself each, right? So it's not, wallets are kind of a blunt instrument, but actual raw mass adoption will take getting someone like Mr. Beast to access his consumer market, right? And so that's the master play. So that's why I think that that's going to be pretty cool. So Tom Lee, they're anchoring the Ethereum blockchain along with Vitalik. Got to be probably the two biggest names moving forward. Will be those two, and then Mr. Beast inclusive. Once everyone starts potentially buying Ethereum up on those financial apps along with the rest of their financial services like budgeting, everything. So Mr. Beast looking to be the new BlackRock. Tom Lee looking to jump on the bandwagon on that, help make it happen, as well as mass adoption for Ethereum, in addition to the mega themes of institutions running on the back of stablecoins and tokenization. So I think it's pretty cool. Now, payment rails is going to be a bit more competitive, I think, obviously with a faster network, maybe Solana or something else. So that's another theme out there, though. All right, so that is where we are with the old Ethereum, and I think it's going to be absolutely glorious to the upside, guys. Obviously, we've got volatility at the moment, but I think we're setting up pretty nicely for the second half of the year with the old ETH. So, good accumulation right now. Bitcoin Immersion still accumulating their 5%, still got quite a bit to go. So they're heading towards 6 million. I think they've got 4.5 million now. So we've still got about 1.5 million to accumulate, and Tom Lee indicating that they'll probably do it this year. So it's another 1.5 million ETH to be bought up through that ATM mechanism, and of course mass adoption on the back of that. So there's a big vision happening, and you guys are all here pretty early, so it's pretty neat. Have we got Hamza in house there? Good morning, Chief. Good to see you, Hamza. We long Bitcoin now at 68, or waiting for a lower price. Well, it's still pretty volatile right now, Hamza. But we'll probably be waning in the zone that we're currently in, 63 to 74. We got Pulse Bitcoin in the house there. Hi all, good to see Pulse Bitcoin. Big shout out. And we got Quattro Synchro Boy. Yeah, I saw Quattro Synchro. I think he's back, isn't he? You're talking about the influence, maybe? Yeah. So yeah, pretty cool. What else there? We got the price there. Let's go to the month daily here. And have a look at the daily on ETH. So obviously, we've been in this death cross a week later, I think it was, after Bitcoin, 23rd of November. We've had, obviously, small waves and then quite a consolidation period, and then that big sell-off in the end of January. And down we've gone into this range here. We've been to a low back here of 6th of February, where we got down to 1742. And here we are at 1975. So we are in a nice range here. The question, of course, would we go down to that next range, $1,500 to $1,600? Still, I think a relatively low probability, even with the Iran war on. But we'll see what happens in the next week, and if we can hold this zone, that would be pretty cool. We got Fast Abdul in the house there. I'm here for the tech. Hey, good to see you, Fast Abdul. Welcome. So yeah, we've got that's the Ethereum play right now. So pretty friendly zone, and we'll see whether we hold this range, which is typically between 1,800 and 2,200, so $400 range. We're kind of in the middle of that range right now. Yeah, that's kind of where we are. Let's jump up and jump over to Pulsechain. Let's leave that. We got Pulse Bitcoin says Bitcoin 2-week RSI at lowest in history. There we go. That's another indicator to the upside, isn't it? So eventually. A good comment there from Pulse Bitcoin. So this is Pulsechain. Now, we don't have a 50-month moving average like we did for Bitcoin Ethereum, but, I've left it to 21 moving average, which you can see in turquoise here. And obviously, we're well below that. Now, obviously, with Bitcoin Ethereum having about 6 months down, well, we got 7 months, haven't we? Got 7 months down here on the old Pulsechain. We have had, in addition to the market pulling down, we've obviously had a lot of black swan events. We've had some of the big DeFi contracts all get exploited in some fashion. We've had a lot of sacrifice holders sell down, including the so-called rich hexkins from the sacrifice. And so, it's been pretty brutal. I think a lot of commentators, I think like Crypto Solve and people that have suggested that that's over now, in terms of the major contracts. There's always something out there, though, isn't there? Always something out there. But it looks like we've had a bit of a bounce from 7,700. So 7,700 is the bottom in now. We also obviously had Richard Hart with ProofX on sacrifice on testnet being allocated, boding well for the potential upside. So, I still think, March could be a slightly positive month. Then April, probably a pretty decent month. Maybe pull back in May, we'll see. And hopefully we'll have that, second half of the year. Now, in April, if we get the Clarity Act done, and then obviously anytime we get that done, that's a big up signal, right? That's a game on for crypto because market structure is regulated. And so therefore it's game on in the United States. So that is a big upside, and what a perfect sort of recovery we could have. I don't know, some sort of V recovery, but something really, really, really dynamic impulse picking up from that too. Now, also, liquidity decisions by Richard in the ProofX token pools. We're watching that too. Probably let's see if there's a preference towards stables, although you typically want to let that just run on Pulse if you got an uptrend reversal on the chart. So if this long-term downtrend for Pulsechain finally starts having the opposite reversal to a long-term uptrend, then you want to let it run free. So let's see if the timing, can you call a bottom and have the right liquidity pool set up. So pretty cool on that. Now, I do think that we're getting also with this down at the bottom here, I think we're also going to get some maturity in the old Pulsechain community. I know that's a tough one in DeFi, but I think people will start focusing on the blue chip protocols. The DEXs, the liquidity forks, the privacy trading solutions, things like that that are on ramps and things that are really adding value. So let's see if that trend happens from the bottom to the upside as people decide to flock to value, and it all becomes self-fulfilling, doesn't it? So we'll keep a lookout for that. A lot of those have business and fee driven aspects to them. So you've got a couple of key drivers, ones with large communities, ones with good incentives, others with the business fees. Those are the sort of things that we're looking forward to building value on, right? As opposed to just the pump and dumpers, and I'm lucky I got them first or whatever, So there's a few of those out there all the time, right? So that is where we are on Pulsechain, having a nice little green month, which is nice to break that 7-month down. The low that we had was 7,800, 7,800. We've briefly this month been at 4 zeros, 1093. We're currently at 5 zeros again, 96.38. So still great place to pick up large volumes of Pulsechain with that 5 zeros in play. So also another way of lowering your average cost as well. I still think we've got a few more months of volatility. All just depend on the extended Iranian war and the oil impact on oil, and secondly on the how long that war is. I think it's going to be pretty quick from a strategic point of view, but tactically can sometimes drag out because obviously they're going to want to get some sort of internal revolution to take down the powers to be and just knock out all the military sites for the army, because the army's going to be the only thing really left, right? So and it's a large one, so got to take that out too. At least key parts of it, so that they don't respond to the civilians. So we'll see how that goes. So that is kind of where we are on the old Pulse. Got a few optimistic things around projects. Obviously, we talked about that earlier in today's live stream. We've got Vault 369 multi-chain liquidity fork. Coinwell presumably is still coming down the line. That's also going to be pretty similar, I think. Not with the multi-collateral, but we'll see. It's supposed to be multi-chain, so we'll have a look at that. The other one is, of course, we've got Liberty X launching this weekend, so that's really huge, and that's going to be intent-based trading with an aggregator. So we're looking forward to that coming up this weekend. So it's a pretty big deal. So a couple of heavyweight protocols expected to launch this weekend, and we know that Vault 369 is going to public testnet, community testnet, and then we've got ProofX as well, with Richard Hart. So there's a couple of big ones there on the roadmap, so it's going to be kind of fun to see those play out too. And of course, if you can time the bottom and launch, then there's a good ride up, right? A good ride up on those evaluations. So, and most of them are multi-chain. So that's the thing. So in fact, they're all multi-chain, the ones that are said, but based on the old Pulsechain. So game on for that. That is the future. Everyone always knows the multi-chain is the future. You just want to extract all that value to your own chain, right? So that is where we are on the old Pulse. So yeah, I think it's a pretty exciting place to be accumulating on all those three assets. Obviously, moving to other chains like Solana, obviously payment rails, XRP with banking payment rails. There's probably two payment rail theme chains with the banking establishments. Chainlink around information. It's kind of be the go-to there around information game on the big boom as crypto takes over, traditional markets. So there's obviously the big mega theme is the monetary systems moving to blockchain, right? Now that's we've seen some pretty bullish statements around that from the SEC chair, the full for tokenization within 2 years from Treasury Scott Bessent around $3-4 trillion of stable coins by 2030. So there's been some massive uplifts there, and of course there's also tag on to themes around they'll all be backed by US dollars, right? All the stable coins backed by US. So it's a US dollar boom, and therefore also another one tied into potentially US public debt being one of the key ways they may try and pay the US public debt down of 38 trillion, right? We'll keep a lookout for all those things coming up. But exciting times for sure. We've seen major banks like say the New York Bank Mellon moving to custodial for the ETFs. There's obviously going to be continued ETF boom and the tokenization of stocks, of the bond market, the equity market products, all coming to Pulsechain. They start off with a small amount. They've already indicated that small amount first, and then they end up ramping that up to potentially trillions and trillions of dollars. So just on those things. So if you add all those $1 trillion markets, the whole crypto market's going to get re-rated at least a 10x from here, from 2.5 to 25 trillion or something like that. Definitely on the card. So good times. You're never too early until you're too late, type of thing. So and we're still pretty early. We're in the holy grail of governments, institutions, and mass adoption on the doorstep of all that playing out. So it's been a long time coming. People used to talk about this back in 2017, and back in the ICO boom, used to talk about, oh man, we get the mass adoption, we get the governments wanting to come in, we get the institutions coming in. Well, we're right there at the doorstep of that. And the Clarity Act is going to be the main stamp of approval for game on there. So it's fun times, guys. Just bide your time with these short-term volatilities because I think it's going to end up being pretty awesome after that. I'm in shorting BTC, says Ethios. Cool. So some good stuff ahead there. That was just a quick recovery of some of the mega themes and the Bitcoin chart, the Ethereum chart, so Pulsechain chart, and we're excited about the future of all three chains playing their role. Bitcoin is a store of value, particularly when digital is in favor, and the Clarity Act is passed, and of course Ethereum there with the stable coins and tokenization, and to some degree payment rails. And then, of course, the old Pulsechain there with a heavy DeFi, I guess, a DeFi theme. And, of course, still having the same robustness and roadmap of Ethereum, right, because it's a full system state fork. And, of course, if Ethereum does well, then presumably the Magic Carp ride does well. And if all that money is then applied, it could be quite a beautiful thing on small liquidity. We're still holding out for the old Magic on their chain there. It brings me to final comments from Richard Hart was that he's more interested in Pulsechain season than altcoin season, and I guess the next chess move is the ProvX launch, and so we're excited to see all that play out as well. All right, hope you guys enjoyed the show. Just a quick update there on the charts, and I'll catch you again tomorrow. All right, take care, and bye for now. DCA for the win, is that what they say? DCA for the win. All right, cheers.